people are waking up. Not so much gradually, not so much slowly, but in waves, in moments, in the middle of regular Sunday afternoons while they're putting away their groceries. They're waking up and realizing that the life they've been building, the one that maybe looked perfect from the outside, the one that they've been really striving for, doesn't actually feel like theirs anymore. Success no longer equals fulfillment or happiness, and achievement doesn't mean that you're going to be satisfied. They're starting to realize that having it all doesn't always feel like wholeness. And so if you are experiencing this right now, I want you to know that you are not losing your mind. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. You are waking up, and the world needs you awake. Welcome back to another episode of the Live Free Lifestyle podcast. I am your host, Leah Brathwaite, and today I've got a different kind of episode for you. If you are listening to this right now, or if you are watching this right now, there is a reason. And I don't say that lightly. I say that because I truly believe that energy surrounds us and calls us to places. And right here, right now, you are paying attention to this message because there is something in it for you. And I want to say that because right now there is a collective shift that is happening. We are at the tail end of 2025. And I know we still have a few weeks left of the year, but the energy right now feels really powerful. So this is why I want to speak to it, because 2025 is closing out everything that came the 9 years previous. We are in a collective closing out. So every lesson, every experience, every chapter, it's all completing now. Everything that started 9 years ago is being integrated, processed, and ready to be released on a collective level. And then 2026, we're going to be starting a year one, or a 1 year. And this is a fresh start, a completely new cycle, a beginning again. And here's what's happening right now because of this shift. People are waking up. Not so much gradually, not so much slowly, but in waves, in moments, in the middle of regular Sunday afternoons while they're putting away their groceries. They're waking up and realizing that the life they've been building, the one that maybe looked perfect from the outside, the one that they've been really striving for, doesn't actually feel like theirs anymore. Or the way that they've been operating doesn't feel like it's working anymore. So the way that they're waking up to the fact that success no longer equals fulfillment or happiness, and achievement doesn't mean that you're going to be satisfied, they're starting to realize that having it all doesn't always feel like wholeness. And so if you are experiencing this right now, I want you to know that you are not losing your mind. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. You are waking up, and the world needs you awake. And this time, this collective shifting is important to recognize. So I want to tell you why this matters right now in this exact moment, because we are at the end of this 9-year cycle, and this collective energy shift that's happening is allowing everybody to come back into deeper alignment. So the old paradigms that worked before, they're not working so much anymore. The strategies that got you here aren't the ones that are going to get you there to the next level that you desire. So the ways we've been living, creating, relating, working, they're all being questioned right now. And it's not because we're doing anything wrong, not because we're doing anything bad, but because we are being called into something new, something more aligned, something more true, something that actually feels like you at the deepest level. And for a lot of people, that feels really terrifying, because if the old formula stopped working, like, what do you do? Where do you go? How do you navigate? And most people panic. Most people are sitting with this discomfort and not knowing how to handle it. So they think they need to find a new strategy, a new coach, the next shiny object, a new answer somewhere outside of themselves. But that, again, is the old paradigm that is starting to recede. The searching outside is no longer what is going to create what you're looking for inside. And so that's what I want to talk about today. That's what I feel called to share right now. At this exact moment in the cycle, this is what's happening when this is what happens. So what I want to talk about today, what I feel called to share right now at this exact moment in the cycle, is what happens when you stop searching outside and you start listening inside. When you realize that everything you need to build your next epic chapter is already inside of you. So the timing of this is not accidental. This 1 year is when you get to start from scratch, when you get to build something new, when you get the structural permission from the universe, so to speak, itself, that it is time to begin again. But you can only create an epic shift if you are building from your truth, from your soul's knowing. Not from fear, not from your old patterns, not from what you think you're supposed to do. And that's what I want this episode to be about today, because as we're stepping into 2026, as you're standing on the edge of this new 9-year cycle right now, before the holidays get intense and you forget about what happened this year and you wait until the very last moment to start making resolutions and feeling a little bit scattered with everything that is coming in the next couple of weeks or the next few weeks up until the end of the year. What I want you to ask right now, the question is like, where do I want to go? But more so, who do I need to become to build the life that my soul is calling me towards? And that answer does not live outside of you. It's within you. It is what happens when you connect to that truth within yourself. And I want to take you back to a moment that I've shared before on this podcast episode that was an awakening moment for me. A regular Sunday afternoon, nothing extraordinary was happening, simply putting the groceries away in my dream kitchen, in my dream home with this dream life, or so I thought, and something just broke. Not in like a violent or explosive way, but it was a very quiet feeling, like a dam just broke after holding back water for years and years. And I remember standing there, kale in one hand, my hand on the other hand on the fridge door. And I just looked around at everything that I had chosen, the design, the decor, all the decisions that had gone into creating what I thought was my ideal life. And I realized in that moment that I did not recognize any of it. And it was like I was watching somebody else's life happen, like I was playing a role in somebody else's story. And in that moment, something inside of me, something that I can only describe as my soul, spoke louder than anything else had ever spoken to me. Not for another second. Not for another second of this. And I couldn't have told you exactly what this was, but the feeling that I had was this, the life that I had created, the way that I was living, the pretending that everything was fine. That was what I couldn't do for another second, because I knew with every cell in my body that I could not keep living the way that I had been, because I was drowning in a life that looked perfect from the outside. But here's what I didn't know in that moment. I didn't realize that I was at the end of a cycle in that moment too. Everything that I had built in that 9-year period was completing, and my soul was ready for something new, something that I didn't know, but that I could feel was a deeper version of me. So when I look back at it now, I can see that the panic, the anxiety, the depression, the restlessness, all of that was my soul saying, okay, babe, we're done here. It's time to begin again. Time to build something real. And in that moment, I had a choice. I could either push through and try harder and like optimize my way out of the discomfort and get on some anti-anxiety medications to quiet down that noise that was coming from within, find another strategy to make my old life feel better again. Or I could have listened. I could have trusted that my soul knew something that my mind didn't understand yet. And in that moment, I chose to listen. And that, I feel, is the choice that is in front of so many people right now, because we were all at this threshold, this collective energy of endings and beginnings. We're all at the end of this 9-year cycle. 2025, when you add up all of those numbers, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, that's the 9-year cycle. And for the first time in a very long time, it's like, okay, we have permission. The universe is like, you have structural, energetic permission to start over, clean up everything from this year that is feeling like it needs to be cleaned up, and time to build something new, time to create from truth instead of habit. But most people are going to miss this moment because they are still searching outside for the answer. They might be thinking, okay, my soul is waking me up. I need to find a mentor, or I need a course, or I need a strategy, or I need a therapist, or I need somebody to tell me what to do. And I'm not saying that that support is not valuable. Obviously, it's not. My entire business is based on supporting people in that way. Community is valuable. Guidance is valuable. But the biggest paradigm shift that you can make is recognizing that the answer is not outside of you. The answer is inside of you. And you need to remember how to access it, not just in moments where it feels like the world is caving in around you, where it's like a spontaneous eruption of a soul calling, but how do you access it and tune into it and use it every single day to create, not just in spontaneous moments. So I want to tell you about something that I did back in 2017. I was doing my Kundalini yoga teacher training. And for 9 months, I was in this intensive training program. And interestingly enough, 9 months, again, a full cycle within a cycle, I was practicing every single day. I was connected to this practice that allowed me to tap into my deepest knowing. In the Kundalini tradition, one of the most widely used mantras is Satnam. I even got it tattooed on my wrist here because I wanted to stay connected to it. I wanted to remember that truth is my identity. That's what Satnam means. Truth is my identity. And every day through this practice, I was connecting to this truth, and I was feeling so freaking powerful. And what happened during those 9 months was nothing short of miraculous, but not in the way that you might think. It wasn't this like massive shift on the external. It was a massive shift on the internal, because I was tapping into this deeper version of myself. I wasn't becoming someone new. I was becoming somebody more true. And I was remembering what it felt like to be deeply anchored into my own knowing, like to be so rooted in my truth that I wasn't swayed by what anyone else thought. That practice created this direct line between my mind and my soul, and that became the guiding light in my life. And through that, I was able to create miracles. I received a windfall of cash that came into my life after years and years of sort of struggling, being on disability insurance and like really struggling financially. A huge windfall came into my life. But more than that, I really tapped into my purpose. I understood so clearly what I was here for, who I was meant to be, the gifts that I had. My intuition was literally on fire. Like I could not shut it up. It was so powerful. And what I discovered is that the connection that you have with your soul is the beginning of all of your power. It's not the external success. It's not the achievements. It's not the validation. It's your soul. It's your knowing. It's your confidence. It's your truth. It's your power. That's where your real power lives. And when you know how to tap into that regularly, you create from a place of truth, from a place of authenticity. You create from a place of knowing that is absolutely unshakable. But here's what happens. After I completed this 9 months of magic, completely altered my life. I downloaded the Live Free method. I downloaded the ideas for my book. I wrote a book. I became this expanded version of myself. I was feeling so amazing. I got caught up again in life. And I was like, okay, now I'm doing all of these things. I'm so busy. I don't have time for this practice. Plus, I feel so connected. I don't think I need this practice anymore. I'm good. Like, I'm solid. I'm in my knowing. I'm in my power. And it is so easy to get distracted from that connection because the world outside is so freaking loud and we are so busy and life is lifing. And we have all of these external things that are calling our attention outward constantly. So every year I notice it's so easy to get distracted from that connection. And even though I have so much evidence of how powerful it is when I'm in that connection, when I'm in that zone and I'm doing my practice, I also know that you get high off of the feeling and you think you're good and then you ride it as long as you can until you realize like, wait, the magic is gone and you forget. And then you go searching for it again. So I noticed this pattern in myself. I'll do the practice, feel amazing, be deeply anchored in my knowing, and then I drop it. Life gets busy, demands come in. I think I can just maintain it without my practice. But you know what? Without it, it starts to feel less amazing. And then I start to forget. And then I start to try all the things. And then I start being more in my human, in my mind, in my conditioning. And I forget that the answers are inside of me. And that all I need to do is come back to them. But that's the cycle that I notice in myself. And that's the cycle that I think most of us are trapped in. We remember, we feel amazing, and then we drift, and then we suffer, and then we look outside ourselves again, thinking, wait, it must be something out there. And then we realize, no, it's back in here. We remember again, and we get stuck in that cycle of forgetting and remembering, and then forgetting and remembering. And we never ask ourselves, what if I didn't have to drift? What if I could just stay connected? And that is what I have been asking myself so deeply, because right now I'm currently leading an incredible group of humans through a really powerful Kundalini practice. And we are loving it. They are loving it. I am loving it. And I'm like, oh my God, why do I forget? Why do I forget that this simple practice, doing it just 11 minutes a day, is something that brings me back to my truth and that reminds me, I know, you know. So what if right now at the end of this 9-year cycle, we could all build our next chapters from a place of never having to disconnect? That is what I have been feeling into. And so this year, going into 2026, I'm going to be doing something different. And I am creating something for myself and for my community to be a part of so that we never have to disconnect. So we stay activated, we stay anchored in our power, we stay connected to our souls throughout the entire year of building. This is going to be a collective of like-minded souls who are all stepping into this new cycle together, all remembering together, all creating from truth together. Because what I know to be true is this, that when you remember and you stay in that remembering, you build a a cumulative power that doesn't have to end. And it is incredible to know that you can have something to come back to over and over again. I've noticed for myself that my remembering is getting stronger and stronger. I don't stay as lost. I'm able to come back, anchor in, and then keep going. But my goal for this year coming up in 2026 is to stay in it without the forgetting, to stay in it consistently. And I want to invite you into that experience as well. So if this is something that you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel this, I do this too, I want this, then I want to stay connected. You can join me on social media. I will be sharing about it there. You can comment anywhere that you're listening to this. I will message you with more information about it. But what I want you to know right now is that the world is waking up. But what I'm still seeing is that people are looking outside of themselves for what comes next. They know, okay, something in me is shifting. My soul is calling to me So I need guidance about what to do next, but that's still even in the old paradigm. That's still outsourcing the power. So what I'm inviting you into is something different. What I'm inviting you into is recognizing that you are the source, not me, not any external authority, but you. The ones who are going to thrive in the next 9 years are the ones who understand that the answer isn't searching outside for tactics or strategies and answers. The answer is coming back into the depth of your own knowing. It's in knowing yourself at the deepest level, and that is your greatest power. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to really feel into this. What would change if you knew, not believed, not hoped, but knew that as you step into the next cycle, you already have everything you need inside of you to build something epic? Like, what would change if you stopped waiting for external permission? You started recognizing that you already have it, that you are already it. What would change if you understood that every desire you have, every dream that you can see, every version of yourself that you can imagine is already possible simply because you can imagine it? And what would change if you came home to yourself before you started building, instead of searching for home in the outcome? Because 2026 can be the year that you manifest exactly what you desire. Not because you finally find the right strategy, the right steps, or the right person to follow, but because you recognize that it's already within you. And you're tapping into that source and you're bringing it into form because you're building from your soul's blueprint, not from fear or old patterns, because you're staying connected instead of drifting. So if you want support in staying connected to that, if you want to be in a community of souls who are remembering that together, if you want monthly activations that keep you anchored when life tries to pull you back into the old patterns, then I want to invite you into this experience. There will be more on that coming soon. Check out socials, like I said, but I want to invite you into coming home to yourself as you step into this new cycle. Because the time of the awakening that you may be experiencing right now is not accidental. You are waking up at the exact moment that you are meant to, because it is time to start again. Your soul is calling you home, and the next 9 years of your life depend on how you answer that call. So are you ready? Are you ready for it? So I want to leave you with this. I want you to recognize in yourself moments where you have heard that knowing, that intuition, because truly your intuition is your inner education. That is your soul's knowing. That is your guidance system. It is what you are here for. It is all of the experiences that you are meant to have coming from that place of inner truth. And if you can follow that, if you can learn to tune into that, to connect with that without disconnecting, you will experience a life beyond your wildest dreams, beyond what your mind can even imagine. It can't imagine it right now because it is so much greater than what your wee little mind can think. So my invitation is to stay connected, whatever that means to you. And if you don't know what that means to you, then that's where you get to start asking these deeper questions. What has worked for you this year? When did you feel the most alive? When did you feel the most in your power? What were you doing that helps you to feel like you were connected? Do more of that. Stay in that. And what are the things that really drained you? What are the things that you're like, oh my God, if I have to do this for the rest of my life, no, I can't, not for another second. What are those things? And let go of those. And if you want support, if you want community, and if you want guidance, then reach out. The details are going to be coming out soon. This is a deeply intuitive process that has been moving through me. But it feels like now is the time to share it before the holiday craziness comes in, before we get to the end of the year and wonder, wait, what? We're here already? Because time is moving so fast. Take some time to ask yourself these questions and to see where you want to go next. And so that concludes another episode of the Live Free Lifestyle podcast. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for allowing yourself to feel this message. And remember, you were born to live free. And if you follow your soul, you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.